Hey, so I've got a mystery bruise here. I don't know really where that came from. I think it came from when I was sparring with Peanut yesterday, but I don't remember really what happened or anything like that. So that's fun. Everyone today thought that maybe they had done it because I play with everybody every day. So it could have been any of us, really. But I'm getting ready for my fights coming up this month, and I'm just trying to focus on getting the technique to feel really good when I'm doing it. So instead of I'm not turning on my kick, or I'm not, getting enough power on my teep or something like that, feeling more like those things are accessible to me, or I'm ready for them, emotionally connecting to the strikes rather than being upset that I didn't block something or something like that. Today I started a WKO, and I was sparring with Den Sam, who's 62, 63 kilos, so he's way, way bigger than me, which means that stuff is really easy for him. So I get really upset and I think that my guard isn't working, but really it's that I'm going against people who are so much bigger than me that a little kid, if I went against a kid who was 30 kilos, it doesn't matter how good his guard is, I can totally pick my shots, but I forget that, or I don't consciously remind myself of that when I'm having a really hard time against these really big sparring partners. And Sifu was trying to help me. Sifu was telling me to use timing more and kind of move him off his mark and go ahead and go backwards, because he's so big, he's just going to want to kind of march me down. And afterwards I was really upset, I was really emotional about the experience, and Sifu was you did great, your hands are really good, you just need to kind of believe in it more and kind of experiment with it more. And I think that what bummed me out about the experience was that I got so upset about it, and then I went and sparred at Pechongrung with this new kid who's much closer to my own size, and I was able to experiment with a lot more things that was really good. I felt the elasticity that I've been working on of not backing up, but kind of stepping back and springing back forward immediately, was something that I was able to really work on a lot more with him. But as I got tired, I started just kind of everything was heavier and was kind of dropping, and he was really tired too. So it was basically just the two of us kind of trying to pull out what we could from what was left. And Pinu came over and was helping me. He was after you kick, stay where you are and block, which is something that I know to do, but I haven't consciously worked on in a really long time. And it's totally what Karahat has been having me do when I go southpaw, which is just using jabs and teeps and blocks to come in, and then you fire your power shot. And so I got, again, down and frustrated by not having done that. I think that what I was upset about was that I felt like I'd kind of wasted my sparring opportunity because I didn't do that the whole time. I kind of didn't have the right experimental attitude about it that I wish that I would have had the entire time. But that's a thing to learn from rather than something to regret what you did, because you learned that lesson in the process of having done it wrong or whatever. So afterwards, I went on the bag and just worked on all of the things that Pinu had been telling me to do so that I could get more comfortable with them in space, which is not the same thing as doing it under pressure. But it was just getting my body to use those motions kind of in the same rhythm that I should be able to bring under pressure, because really it just changes the timing more than anything when you have pressure. And so afterwards, I actually got back in the ring and did probably 10 or 15 minutes of sparring with Pinu, just working on that and going at a much slower pace. And it was really, really fun because I was just relaxed. So I think that the lesson of today has been an ongoing lesson for a really long time for me, which is just when you relax and just kind of let your mind go quiet and put yourself into the situation that's sparring, you have access to things much better and more readily than if you're trying to do something. When I'm sparring with Kevin in the morning, Kevin has started training, I'm just trying to move him around the ring. He's enormous and I'm tiny, so our size disparity, there's not a lot of sparring that can really go on. So I have to keep being reminded, just move him. My intention is just to move him around the ring rather than sparring. And when I remind myself to do that against people closer to my size, or people who are nowhere near my size but are my sparring partners anyway, when I'm just trying to move them around the ring rather than trying to spar or something, it's when you hear people say use your boxing. That's a ridiculous thing. So when I was just trying to move Pinu around and kind of use the patterns that Karahat has worked with me on and that Pinu was talking to me about when I was going with this other kid, it was much more enjoyable and it was way more successful, and I think those two go together. So that was the lesson from today. That's my vlog for today. and hopefully I can remind myself of this tomorrow.